Africa is home to some of the largest and most ferocious predators on the planet. But there's one animal whose ferocity and absolute fearlessness leave them all in their wake: the honey badger. Its endurance, appetite, and ruthlessness allow it to tackle Africa's most venomous snakes, and it doesn't even flinch at the sight of a leopard. Today, we'll talk about this animal, one of the most legendary on Earth, and without a doubt, the continent's greatest expert on indifference. Okay, so imagine someone took a badger, gave it an energy drink for extreme sports, removed the part of its brain responsible for fear, and just released it into Africa. That is essentially a honey badger. And while we're at it, this thing decided its personal mission was to pick fights with hyenas and remind everyone who actually runs this savanna. Technically, it belongs to the mustelid family, the same family as otters and weasels, which are cute and relatively normal. You'd hug an otter, you'd adopt a weasel. The honey badger clearly missed that meeting. It grows up to 105 centimeters long and weighs around 9 to 13 kilograms. That is roughly what you curl on a good day at the gym, except this thing uses that weight to fight leopards. And speaking of leopards, no medium-sized dog has ever looked one dead in the eye and said, "I'm about to wipe my paws on you." The honey badger has, multiple times, without blinking. Its body looks like nature ran out of spare parts and just said, good enough, ship it. Short stubby legs, a stretched out torso, a head that seems, well, not slightly too big. Actually just completely too big for everything else. Proportionally, it makes zero sense. And yet somehow this chaotic little disaster earned its own separate subfamily. Scientists looked at it and said, yeah, this unhinged thing deserves its own category. The hardware is genuinely alarming. Powerful jaws, thick curved claws built for serious excavation work, and a hide so tough around the neck, 6 millimeters thick, that it is basically wearing built-in armor. Thicker than some leather belts, thicker than your excuses at the gym. For reference, a lion's canine will sometimes fail to puncture it cleanly. Let that sit for a second. But here is the part that should actually concern you. That skin moves freely across its body, loosely, which means if something grabs it from behind, a leopard, a hyena, a very bad life decision, the honey badger can literally rotate inside its own skin and absolutely clap whoever grabbed it. It is essentially wearing a permanent escape suit. No engineer designed this. Nature just had a weird day. Basically immortal. For example, here we see the honey badger, weighing 13 kilograms with legs shorter than your lunch break, decide that elephants need to be put in their place. He woke up, looked at the largest land creature on Earth, and thought, yeah, that's today's problem. The elephant sees this and already has a bad feeling. And then it happens. The elephant accidentally steps right on the honey badger. 6,000 kilograms. On a 13-kilogram animal. A moment of silence for what should have been a perfectly flat honey badger. But nothing. The honey badger gets up, shakes himself off, looks around like someone who's been pushed on the subway, slightly annoyed, then keeps walking forward, toward the elephant, again. At this point, the elephant begins to have a real existential crisis. He just stepped on this creature with all his weight, and he's fine. Apparently, everything is fine. And now he's coming back for more. The elephant, 6,000 kilograms, tusks like small trees, the undisputed symbol of power, left, quickly. There are no words for what that does to an elephant's self-esteem.
Go. Aren't they extraordinary? Look at this. And it's still going. Well done, Ellie.
Let's get one thing straight right away. The honey badger isn't called a honey badger because it's cute. It's called that because sometimes, very rarely, it eats honey. Just occasionally, as a treat. A cheat meal, if you will. Its diet is best described like this. Yes. Yes to snakes. Yes to scorpions. Yes to rats, eggs, roots, berries, and anything else unfortunate enough to exist within reach of its nose today. If something moves, the honey badger eats it. If something doesn't move, the honey badger eats it anyway, and respects it slightly less for not putting up a fight. But the crown jewel of its diet is venomous snakes. Not in spite of the venom, because of the venom. A dose that would send any other animal of comparable size to an immediate and dramatic funeral produces in the honey badger roughly the same effect as a strong glass of whiskey. Sometimes a cobra bite will knock it out for a few minutes. Then it wakes up, looks around, finds the snake, continues eating. No drama, no hangover. Just a briefly interrupted breakfast. Basically, the honey badger looked at the food chain, decided the concept didn't apply to it, and has been eating whatever it wants ever since. And look, right now on screen you can see exactly what we're talking about. A mouse has decided to make a run for it, diving into a thorn bush like that's somehow going to save it. Adorable. The honey badger doesn't even slow down. It pushes straight through the thorns, 5 centimeters long, sharp as needles, like they're decorative. The mouse had a plan. The plan didn't account for an animal that genuinely cannot be bothered to feel pain. A few seconds later, it's over. The thorn bush offered zero protection. The honey badger is already eating. A python. A full-grown python, one of the largest constrictors on the continent. The honey badger has decided this is lunch. The snake disagrees. What follows is a serious struggle. The python wrapping, the honey badger twisting inside its own skin, biting, repositioning, refusing to release. And just when you think it couldn't get more chaotic, a hyena shows up. A full-sized hyena trying to steal the meal. The honey badger, currently mid-fight with a python, turns, drives the hyena off, then goes straight back to the snake. The python loses. The honey badger picks it up and carries it into the bush. The hyena watches, does nothing. Here's another one. Different snake, same outcome. The snake strikes repeatedly, goes for the face, anything it can reach. The honey badger absorbs every hit, shakes it off, repositions, and keeps pushing forward. There is no hesitation, no retreat, no dramatic pause to reassess the situation. Just a very focused animal working through its lunch with complete professionalism and zero emotional involvement. The snake runs out of options. The honey badger starts eating. Another Tuesday in Africa. Ever seen Catch Me If You Can? The Shawshank Redemption? Great films. The honey badger has apparently seen them both and taken them as a personal instruction manual. At some point, a honey badger was rescued from a trap and brought to a rehabilitation center. The staff had absolutely no idea what they were getting themselves into. They named him Stoffel. Initially, he seemed like a perfectly normal honey badger, if such a thing can even be said about a honey badger. But over time, it became clear. This guy had two qualities in extraordinary abundance: remarkable intelligence and an absolutely non-negotiable desire for freedom. No obstacle could stop him. Literally none.
He started with a standard lock, picked it without breaking a sweat, then a double lock, then a reinforced lock with wire, then a special padlock. Then he just dug a tunnel underneath everything, because why limit yourself to one method? In his spare time, he picked a fight with a rhinoceros, broke into the night warden's room, and nearly released the lions, just to stay sharp. The staff decided the solution was obvious: get him a girlfriend. The theory was that a honey badger in a loving relationship would calm down and stop committing crimes. Adorable theory. In reality, Stoffel didn't just continue escaping. He recruited his girlfriend into the operation. She received a specific role: stand guard and warn him the moment staff approached. They were now a team, a small, furry, deeply organized criminal enterprise. The park built a special enclosure with high concrete walls. No way to climb. The staff were very pleased with themselves. Stoffel found a forgotten rake, built a ladder, and attempted to vault over the wall. The rake was confiscated. He found a stick. The stick was confiscated. He started stacking rocks into a climbing structure. The rocks were removed. He then began sculpting stepping stones out of mud. There was also a shovel, a car tire, and various other objects that staff had to confiscate one by one, like the world's most exhausting game of chess. At some point, the staff stopped sleeping well. Eventually, the park installed a special electric fence. But there is a strong belief among staff that Stoffel is currently somewhere in that enclosure, quietly drafting his next escape plan, mapping weak points in the perimeter and filing them away for future use. So, what conclusion can we draw from all this? Fortune favors the brave. If you have courage, intelligence, and an iron refusal to give up, nothing and nobody can stop you. Which tells us something rather interesting about the society we live in. Scientists have also established, and this is thoroughly documented research, that people who subscribe to this channel possess the character and fearlessness of the honey badger. And those who leave a like on this video will experience accelerated healing, wounds closing twice as fast, and immunity developing against nearly all known poisons. Thanks for watching, but remember, not everything you just heard was necessarily a fact. See you next time.